It's important for students to have a good understanding of the basic suffix addition rules in order for them to be able to read and spell words accurately. So just what are the basic suffix addition rules that should be taught in the early grades? Well, rule number one is called the just add rule, and that means that most of the time we just add the suffix to the root or the base word. We don't have to change anything, we just add the suffix. So that means that car plus the suffix s becomes cars. Pack plus the suffix ing becomes packing. And jump plus the suffix er becomes jumper. The second rule is called the doubling rule, and that states that in a one-syllable word with one vowel, ending in one consonant, and when adding a vowel suffix or a suffix that starts with a vowel, we double the final consonant and then add the suffix. So that means that the word smog, which is a one-syllable word, smog has one vowel, it ends in one consonant, which is G, and we are adding a suffix that begins with a vowel. Therefore, we have to double that final consonant when we add the Y. Swim is a one-syllable word with one vowel, which is I, and one consonant at the end, which is M, and we are adding a suffix that begins with a vowel, so therefore we need to double that M when we add the ing. Mad is a one-syllable word with one vowel, ending in one consonant, but we are not adding a suffix that begins with a vowel. It starts with a consonant, which is L. Therefore, we need to revert back to the just add rule, and mad plus the ly becomes madly. We did not need to change anything. We need to note, however, that we never double the letters W, X, or Y. So if you have a word that ends in one of those and the word has one vowel before it, we are just going to revert back to the just add rule. The third rule is the drop E rule. This says that when a word ends in a silent E and we are adding a suffix that begins with a vowel, we usually drop that silent E and then we add the suffix. So time, when we are adding ing, we drop the E in time and then we add the ing. Please note that if we are going to take that ing off, we need to put that E back onto the word. Safe ends in a silent E. We're going to drop that silent E because we are adding a suffix that begins with a vowel, which is est, and now safe becomes safest. However, with the word hope, even though hope does end in a silent E, we are adding a suffix that does not start with a vowel, it starts with a consonant. Therefore, we're going to revert back to the just add rule, and hope becomes hopeful. We keep the E on. The fourth and final rule we're going to talk about is called the change the Y to I rule. This rule states that when a word ends in a Y and we are adding any suffix to the word, usually we change the Y to an I, but there are two exceptions. We don't change the Y to an I if there is a vowel directly before the Y. And we do not change the Y to an I if we are adding a suffix that starts with an I, like ing or ist or ish. So that means that the word penny, because penny ends in a Y and we're adding the suffix less, we change the Y to an I and then we add the less for penniless. Cry ends in a Y and we're adding the suffix ed, so we need to change that Y to an I, and then we add the ed. However, the first exception with enjoy plus the suffix ment, enjoy has an O directly before the Y. So therefore, we're going to revert back to the just add rule. We're going to keep the Y the same and just add the ment. Also, with the word cry, because I am adding a suffix that starts with an I am going to keep the Y And then I'm just going to add the ing because we don't usually have two I's next to each other in an English word. We're going to revert back to the just add rule. So it is very important that students have a good understanding of these rules for reading and spelling.